Yeah, welcome to our special here, 94.7 The Pulse. This is the Fishing Show, but this is one of our podcast specials. As you go through on our podcast on our website through 947thepulse.com.au, you will find these specials come up from time to time. This one is all on the Super Trawlers, and of course we will, in a few moments' time, be chatting away to a few different people discussing what's going on with the Super Trawler in Tasmania and just what sort of damage it will do. For all the best in weedless technology and standard everyday jig heads, log on to thejigman.com.au and find out where your local stockist is.
And if you can't jag it, jig it.
Boatcatch, the revolutionary launch and retrieve system. Website is allthews.boatcatch.com.
So there's a lot of things going on in our world of fishing at the moment. We've got stringent regulations on our bluefin tuna fishery possibly coming in place. We've got extended marine parks. We've got new boating regulations. And well, we've got super trawlers, and I suppose that's where we're going right now, is we're going into the world of super trawlers. We have the president of the Tasmanian Tuna Club, Nobbie Clark. Good morning, Nobbie. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, good morning, boys. How are you?
Very, very good, mate. Now, you have had a fair bit to do over the last couple of weeks. We've had rallies over in Tasmania, and I think probably some of the most successful rallies in the country's history as far as recreational fishing, standing up and doing the right thing. But this time we're standing shoulder to shoulder with a lot of different people.
That's it, mate. I mean, across Tasmania at the moment, we've got a broad spectrum of people kind of supporting the issues that this vessel brings to our waters. I mean, the number one reason for us is that we've seen the problems that most likely this vessel's going to cause in localised depletion. The company that's bringing this into Australian waters has operated in our area before with a much smaller vessel harvesting the fish redbait, which is the main species of fish that brings our bigger pelagics into our area.
Now let's just go into the basis of this, Nobbie. This we're talking about the Super Trawler. Now this is a massive big ship that basically is the entire production plant, the whole lot, all in one go, and it does everything. It scoops everything, one hit, and processes on board. That's
right, mate. It's a mobile fishing factory at the end of the day. It's 10,000 tonnes in size, 144 metres long. It's got the ability to process 250 tonnes of fish today, but also store 6,000 tonnes of fish frozen.
Yeah, Nobbie, whereabouts is this trawler going to operate out of?
I believe it's going to operate out of Devonport, but Seafish Tasmania state that it's going to move throughout the fishery. We believe that, yeah, definitely it's going to move throughout the fishery, but it's going to target certain species in certain areas, and we're suggesting that definitely within the quota that it's got for the 6,900 tonnes of redbait, that will definitely be in the Tasmanian area.
Yeah, and there's actually two zones, is there? There's a west zone and there's also a east zone?
That's correct, yep. There's a west zone and an east zone, which runs, if you can imagine a line running straight down the middle of Tasmania, you've got the eastern zone on the right-hand side and the western zone on the left.
And they're also going to be targeting the blue mackerel and jack mackerel?
That's right, blue mackerel and jack mackerel. My main concern is redbait. I mean, that's the main species of target for us down here and what drives our game fishing industry. So, to be honest with you, in fairness to Seafish Tasmania, I can't state what's going to happen with the issues of slimies and jack mackerel in further higher states, which where they'll be harvested, but certainly can comment in regards to redbait in the south.
Now, you operate out of down a beautiful place called Eaglehawk Neck down there. Your club room's down there in Pirates Bay. There's also Pedro Blanca down that way as well.
That's right.
How far is the actual fishery offshore there?
In our fishery is very, very accessible. I mean, we can pull off the ramp at Eaglehawk Neck, and any of your listeners out there who've been down here probably know how accessible it is. And we can be, 500 metres from our ramp, and we can be hooking up into bluefins. So, we've probably got one of the most accessible game fisheries in Australia in that fact, especially for bluefin tuna. It's very, very accessible, and with the reliance on the new boats and new technology that's coming out in recent years, game fishing's kind of going through the roof down here in Tassie.
Yeah, no, it has been very popular. I know the southern bluefin down there is, we read about it all the time here. It's one of the things we put on our bucket list. Now, with the actual amount that, with the redbait,
yes.
Whereabouts, or what quantity are they doing of the redbait, did you say?
My understanding is that this very highly precautionary catch rate, they've got 6,900 tonnes of redbait in this highly precautionary number, and we totally agree with the scientists that this is highly precautionary. This is not about the sustainability of the overall stock. When Seafish Tasmania harvested redbait in our area previously. Their achieved quota for the first year was 5,000 tonnes. Their achieved quota for the second was around 5,000 tonnes again, and then in the third year they got a new skipper, a good skipper on board by the name of Genghis, and he managed to get them up to 7,000 tonnes in that third year. And in those 3 years, it pretty much wiped our game fishery out. We generally record up to 30 to 40 tag releases for the year, and in the third year of operation, when Genghis got them up to 7,000 tonnes, our catch rates were down to 1 for the whole club for the whole year.
So, sorry, Nobbie, in layman's terms, just for simple people like myself trying to understand this, at the end of the day, these fish, these redbait, are the number one food source for your game fish over there in Tasmania, and basically by allowing this trawler to do what it wants to do, it's like shutting the door in the passage and you've got to take another route, which in this case is away from Tasmania, could be towards the mainland, could be anywhere, but it's an instantaneous destruction of your game fish fishery. Well,
that's what we're saying at the moment is that we're very concerned that there's been no account taken in for localised depletion. Now, when these guys operated beforehand, remember that 5,000 tonne quota that they achieved was over a year. Now, this vessel that they've got the ability to go out into the fishery and catch that amount in one sailing. So, we're seriously concerned. What we've seen happen over a 12-month period with a small vessel, is enough to decimate us over 3 years. But this vessel that they're bringing now has got the same amount of total allowable catch, even though it is totally highly precautionary. And we totally agree that if you were to sail into our area, for instance, and catch 7,000 tonne, there's definitely going to be another 50,000 tonne out there somewhere, but it's certainly not going to be in our area, especially with a highly migratory species. And that's what we want to see the science on. We want to see the science on localised depletion, and we want to see what happens if you take 5,000 or 7,000 tonnes of fish out of a localised area. How long does it take for that to repopulate? Because we know it took us, once they deemed that their venture became unviable because there was the sea temperature change pushing the fish into deeper water, we kind of looked at that as a little bit like industry spin at the end of the day, because unless the sea surface temperature has changed back in the favour of harvest again, they're bringing a super trawler in to start fishing it again. So, but our thoughts is that with a mass quantity of fish that you need to take to make this operation viable, you just can't do it through an onshore facility anymore, and you have to take a factory to the fishery, and that's what's happening here.
Yeah, I've been looking through a lot of documents, a lot of paperwork and on the computer, but there doesn't seem to be any studies at all on the migratory pattern of these particular redbait. I know on a lot of other fish there is, but a lot of it's sort of hearsay actually on the redbait.
And that's exactly right. There is no science at the moment. Nobody does know the actual migratory path of the redbait. And I mean, game fishing people out there know very well that we do study the small pelagic fishery very hard because it's what drives our sport. So, we watch it every week. We watch sea surface temperature charts looking for where the fish could be, and they are governed by bait levels and they're governed by sea surface temperature charts. So big chunks of it could be in different areas at any one time. For the listeners out there that don't understand a lot about the fishery, you're thinking about a big ocean. It's not really a big ocean where these fish reside. You've got to more or less think of it like a long creek, if you know what I mean. And these fish are very temperature sensitive, and they will live along this creek out in the ocean over a mass area, and there could be a certain amount of volume of them at any place at any given time. It just depends on the water temperature and the bait structure for themselves.
Yeah. Now, have you got any other issues coming, or any other rallies or anything like that coming up down in Tasmania?
Look, I haven't been kind of involved in regards to the rallies. I've been asked to speak a couple of times in regards to localised depletion and the problems that they can cause. There's a lot of other recreational bodies out there that are driving these rallies at the moment. I mean, my job at the moment is to try and just explain to, people that have been told that it is sustainable and that's what they're banking this on. I mean, it is sustainable to their own industry, but people need to be, and especially governments and, senators and those sorts of people need to understand the problems with localised depletion. So that's kind of my job at the moment, is to kind of, say that there's not a problem with sustainability. It's all about localised depletion, and we want to see the science to back up and have something put in place that's not going to destroy game fishing in Tasmania, because it's a multi-million-dollar industry in itself.
Yeah, I think when you look at the whole thing, if it's managed properly and it doesn't take it out of all one area, it takes it out, because the area is actually huge that they've got in this east and west zone. Like, it goes up past Port Stephens, and the west zone goes up the way around the West Australian coast up there.
That's right. Yep.
So if they were taken out of, like the red bait come down past Portland all through there, we know that because the tuna follow them. Port Lincoln's the same
exactly
thing.
Right.
If it's managed properly, 5%'s not going to make any difference to the overall picture. But it's, as you said, it's localised depletion. If we could find out some information on that, and because there's a lot of information that's not coming out, and it's very hard to get from the department at the moment.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. And we want to see the effects of it. You know what I mean? And I don't know whether they have studied this or not before, but we know for a fact that localised depletion, you don't need a massive quantity of fish to cause it. You know, and it was approved with the achieved quota that they achieved through 2002 up to 2005. You know, it was 5,000 tonnes in the first 2 years and 7,000 tonnes, and that wiped us out. Now that's it might sound like not a lot of fish, but that's all it takes to locally deplete in a highly migratory species. You know, it only takes 5,000 tonnes and that's it. You know, 3 years of that, and then you're left to recover. And it took us 3 years for our tag release captures to get back to normal after they ceased fishing for it.
Well, all we hope that common sense prevails and that you keep doing the good work over there, and we'll look on with interest what you do. I know there's a lot of interest over here with it, and we can only see what happens in the coming weeks. I believe the boat's on its way now from South Africa. Where it exactly is, I know that you were tracking it. Have you got any idea where it is there, Nobbie?
We were tracking it and just seeing, just watching it travel across just out of interest. From my understanding, the track has been turned off now, Barry, so we actually got no idea where it is.
Yeah, I was going to mention that because it's rather strange how we tracked it to when it left the port.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden now it's gone into oblivion, it's missing, so it'd be interesting to see if it's got its AIS turned off.
Oh, yeah.
If it had a collision or something like that, it'd be in a lot of trouble. But anyway, look, thanks for that, Nobbie, and all the best for your club over there, the Tuna Club of Tasmania. It's a great club in a great area over there, and if not, I don't catch up with you before, we'll see you over there at the Tuna Comp next year at Pirates Bay. What a great name for a place.
Hey, Nobbie, come on, this is your tune. This is where you're supposed to go, arr.
Yeah, no, I haven't pre-rehearsed that one, boys. I'm to go, so.
Thanks, Nobbie. Appreciate it, mate. Have a good time.
You get down here, you'll have a great time, fellas.
Thank you, mate. Bye.
Good job, boys. Ta-da.
There you go. There's Nobbie Clark, who is the president of the Tuna Club in Tasmania, and it's quite a big thing for these guys over there. And I suppose we don't really understand just how damaging it is going to be, and that was the reason for putting this program together in the first place, and so people can podcast and have a better understanding, Stephen.
Yeah, exactly. Find out what's going on.